Hey guys, I'm back with the story What If Goku Was Trapped in the Time Chamber and Became the Supreme Creator Part 3. Please like, comment and subscribe for more, thanks. We skip back to Goku, who had finished up his last bit of sparring and training with the angel. He had been trapped in the dimension for 60 trillion years now, and he has learned and gained so much power, and he still has 3 more teachers to go. Goku stopped to take a break. Murno also decided to take a break. He was impressed on how well of a student Goku was. He learned things pretty quickly and had undying determination to get stronger. Murno looked at Goku with a question on his mind that he had been meaning to ask the Saiyan for a while. He then began to speak. Goku, I have a question for you. Goku looks at Murno and says, shoot, I'm all ears. What is your reason for getting stronger? What do you seek on this long road of power? Goku closes his eyes and thinks about his past. At first I only wanted to get stronger, only to fight strong opponents. I still do, but more importantly I seek more strength to protect what dear to me, my friends and family. Murno nods with a small smile. He was happy to have a student as humble as Goku. They sat and continued to talk for a while until Hades approached them. Goku says, I guess you will be training me next. Hades nods and says, correct, I will train you how to use demon power and how to unlock the demon eyes and the forbidden ultra instinct, along with some demon techniques. Goku nodded and followed him to the training room. They faced each other and Hades told Goku to power up. Goku transformed into his Super Saiyan 12. He rushed towards Hades at blinding speed and went for a kick to his head that Hades easily dodged. Goku then went for and punched to his face. Hades ducked and kneed Goku in the stomach, making him spit saliva. Hades then connected a strong punch to Goku's face, sending him flying. Hades then spoke, you better start taking this serious if you want to get stronger. Goku wiped the blood from his mouth and stood up. He then powered up to Super Saiyan 20 and fused Ultra Instinct with it. Hades gained a grin and said, that's more like it. They took battle positions and dashed forward, beginning round 2 outside the dimension on Beerus planet. Whis, Broly, Gohan, Vegeta and Beerus were eating cup ramen that Vegeta brought from Earth. Beerus began to speak. You Saiyans are impressive. I must say these 2 months you guys have trained to the bone for this tournament. Whis comments, I agree Lord Beerus, and they have achieved great results. Vegeta had mastered destruction. Was working on a new power. Gohan has mastered his beast and was searching for more power. Broly has mastered 70% of Super Saiyan Blue. Broly looks at Whis and asks, how strong do you think the other warriors from the other multiverses are? Vegeta says they have to be super strong. After all, remember what Whis said, our multiverse is the weakest, so I can't even imagine how strong those other warriors must be. So we need to keep training, since there is a possibility we might not see Kakarot again. Gohan agrees and says Vegeta is right, since my dad is gone we can't slack on our training and get comfortable with our current power levels. We made the same mistake with Jiren, and I won't make that same mistake again. I don't know what kind of person the creator god is, but he could erase our multiverse if we do poorly in this tournament. Whis and Beerus gained a shiver at the thought they also had never seen or meet the creator god, so that was a possibility. Beerus then spoke, with that being a possibility, let's get back to training. Vegeta with me, Broly and Gohan, you're with Whis. They all nodded and continued training. While on Universe 6, Kaba, Caulifla and Kale along with Vados and Champa were on planet Sadala eating. After they had been training on Champa's world for 2 whole months, they were sitting at a table with the king, whose name was Krista. He had blonde and black hair. They were eating until Champa said, you Saiyans are incredible. There's no way to deny how strong you guys can get in a short amount of time. Caulifla and Kaba have mastered 90% of Super Saiyan Blue, and Kale was 10% into mastering Super Saiyan Blue. Vados says, I agree my lord, these Saiyans are indeed impressive. They are undoubtedly the strongest Saiyans in Universe 6. Krista says, I'm not too sure about that. They all look at the Saiyan King, and Kaba asks, what do you mean King? Krista, the Saiyan King, then says, when I say that I don't mean that I'm stronger than you, but it's another Saiyan in this universe that is they all look at the king. Waiting for an explanation, Champa and Vados were curious on who the Saiyan was. The king began to speak again. You see, this story takes place when I was a teen. It was an evil Saiyan who threatened to kill off all Saiyans and destroy our planet. His name was Cumber. He was an evil Saiyan. His power was off the charts. The Saiyan who was king during this time was a legendary Super Saiyan. His name was Rio. It took all we had along with the king, and we were able to trap him on an uninhabited planet, but we barely pulled it off, and we suffered lots of losses in the process. Hundreds died, and among them was unfortunately our king. He sacrificed himself to save his people and named me the new king. Before he died, I was his student, and he knew how much I loved our people and that I would do anything to keep them safe, so he entrusted me, and I have been carrying the torch ever since then. It's Been 50 years now and since then we have grew in numbers again and have been living in peace. Everyone after hearing the king's story was shocked and surprised. Champa and Vados were curious and interested in how strong the Saiyan was. They then asked the king where he was located. The king said a planet called Pluto. It was similar to Earth. They all continued to eat and talk for a while. Eventually Kaba, Kale and Caulifla say goodbye to King Sadala. They were going back to Champa's world to continue training. They all load up in the transportation cube and they all speed away to Champa's planet. While in space, Champa tells Vados to stop. She immediately stops and asks, is something wrong? My lord. Champa looks back at the three Saiyans with a grin and asks, are you guys thinking what I'm thinking? Caulifla screams, hell yeah. Kaba says, are you sure this is a good idea? Kale, who didn't catch on, asks, what are you guys talking about? Champa says, we are going to planet Pluto to see how strong this evil Saiyan is. Kale gets nervous and says, I don't think that's a good idea. I mean, you heard what the king said and how dangerous he is. Caulifla punches Kale's arm and says, come on Kale, it will be fun, plus I'm pretty sure we can handle him. We have got incredibly strong and I want to test my power against someone else besides you two. Kale agrees with a little of hesitation and they all go to where the evil Saiyan was located. In 2 minutes they arrive. Vados lands the cube on the ground and says, we have arrived, my lord. They all come out of the cube and began to look around the planet, seemed to have no animals or wildlife. So what now? Asked Kale and Kaba. We get his attention, says Champa with a grin. He launches an energy beam in the sky to alert the Saiyan of their presence. Far away we could see a man with long black hair, a red shirt and dark black pants with a mask covering his lower face and a brown tail behind him. He was also pretty tall and muscular. He was eating some food when all of a sudden he sees a bright purple beam go up in the sky. He gains a sinister look. It seems I have company, let me see who has come. He then speeds off at high speeds towards the direction of the beam. Back with Champa and the Saiyans, Vados senses the Saiyan rushing towards their position. She looks at Champa and says, he coming, my lord? Champa replies, I know, and his energy is monstrous. As he says those words, Kumber appears in front of them. Kale and Kaba, upon seeing how big the Saiyan was compared to them and how scary he looked, had a small bead of sweat roll down their face. So you're Kumber? Caulifla says, stepping forward. Yes, and who are you, weakling? Says Kumber. Caulifla gets mad and charges towards Kumber. Vados and Champa get a distance away to give them space and observe the battle. Champa tells Vados, if things get out of hand, knock him out. Vados responds, saying, understood, my lord. Caulifla goes for a punch to the Saiyan's face. She connects, but was shocked when he didn't move and took the punch as if it was nothing. Kumber grins behind his mask and says, good try, but now it's my turn. He gives her a flurry of punches that Caulifla couldn't defend against. He then knees her in the gut and then teleports behind her and axe hammers her to the ground. With his fist, Caulifla hits the ground hard and creates a crater. He then teleports near her again and grabs her leg. He spins her around a couple of times and launches her into a nearby mountain. A loud boom was heard on the battlefield. Caulifla comes out of the mountain with a few scars, with her clothes slightly damaged and a little blood running from her mouth. She wipes the blood and says, incredible, it seems you won't be a complete waste of time. After all, the ground begins to shake as Caulifla starts to release her power. Her hair begins to grow longer and an yellow aura with lighting starts to surround her. She gives one last yell and fully transforms into Super Saiyan 3. Kumber, upon seeing this, say, so you can transform as well? Caulifla grins and says, now at this level, you won't get off so easily. Kumber smiles evilly and says, bring it. They rush towards each other at great speeds. Kumber tried to kick her in the head but Caulifla dodged it. She went for a punch to the gut that Kumber easily blocked. Kumber then went for a punch to the face that Caulifla managed to block but was knocked back a great distance. Due to the power of the punch, she then launched Kai beams that Kumber easily dodged and deflected. Meanwhile, on the sideline, Kale and Kaba, who were watching the battle, was surprised on how the evil Saiyan was still beating Caulifla while she was using Super Saiyan 3. Kale says, wow, this guy is still beating Caulifla and it looks like he is barely trying. Kaba responds saying, I know, but if things get out of hand we will have to step in and help her. Who knows if he's hiding his true power with Vados and Champa? That Saiyan is pretty strong. He's beating Caulifla in her Super Saiyan 3. As if it's nothing, says Champa. Vados responds saying, indeed, my lord, and he hasn't even transformed yet. I can tell he hides a lot of power. Back with Caulifla and Kumber. Caulifla was on one knee in her base form. She decided to stop using Super Saiyan 3 because it was draining a lot of her energy and she still couldn't land a damaging blow to the evil Saiyan. She stood up and said, I must admit, You are incredibly strong for a Saiyan who hasn't transformed yet, but it ends here. Cumber laughs evilly and says, oh please don't make me laugh. Caulifla closes her eyes and transforms into Super Saiyan God. Cumber, upon seeing the red hair, was in shock. He knew and had heard stories about the legendary Super Saiyan God with red hair, but thought it was only a fairy tale told to children. He believed that Super Saiyan 3 was as far as a Saiyan could go. Caulifla gains a grin, seeing Cumber's shocked face. Her injuries began to heal. Becus of the healing factor Super Saiyan God has. Cumber comes out of his shock and gets serious and says, let's see if this transformation you have changes anything. He rushes at Caulifla and throws a punch. Caulifla dodges and land a kick that sent him back a distance. Cumber recovers from the kick and says, you have indeed gotten stronger, but let me show you true power. Cumber begins to yell, raising his power. The planet begins to shake. A reddish evil-looking aura surrounds him and rocks, begging to float. He gives one final roar, and when the dust clears, we can see Cumber with blonde hair, and instead of a yellow aura, he has a red aura. Cumber laughs and says, now let's see how you match up against me. Now Caulifla was blown away by the fact that he could transform and how powerful his version of Super Saiyan was with Kaba and Kale. What energy, says Kaba with a bead of sweat on his forehead. Kale was hoping her sister would be okay with Champa and Vados. Wow, his power is off the charts. He is stronger than Super Saiyan God with only his Super Saiyan form, says Champa. Vados agrees, and they continue to watch the battle play out. Caulifla rushed at Cumber at godly speeds. She teleports behind him, hoping to get an open hit, but Cumber turns around and blocks her attack just in time. They battle for a while. After about 10 minutes we could see a Caulifla with her clothes damaged and her wounds healing due to her using the Super Saiyan God power, and a Cumber with some bruises and scratches and a piece of his shirt missing. He had a pretty good power advantage over her. He was using 40% of his evil Super Saiyan. One Caulifla says to herself while looking at Cumber, the stories from King Krista about how powerful he is was the truth. I'll have to use Super Saiyan Blue. I just hope that Super Saiyan 1 is as far as he can go, or else I'm in trouble. Caulifla returns to her base form once again and goes into Super Saiyan Blue at full power, looking to end this fight for good. Cumber was going to mock her again, but didn't get the chance because in a flash Caulifla had connected a kick to his ribs that sent him flying. You have done enough talking, she says, and she rushes towards Cumber and begins to land multiple punches and kicks to the evil Saiyan. She then launches a crush cannon that sends Cumber crashing through 3 mountains and into a huge lake. Caulifla teleports to the lake and hovers above it, saying, I guess I might have went over board and killed him too quickly. Champa, seeing this, says, did she really defeat him? Vados responds, saying, it's far from over, my lord, just watch. Back with Caulifla, she was about to head back to the group but stopped when she felt a surge of power and the lake water beginning to spin and red lightning striking down, and out came Cumber, but he was pissed. He was at 100% in his evil Super Saiyan 1. Kale and Kaba, seeing this, both transformed into Super Saiyan Blue and rushed to help Caulifla. They began to battle Cumber. His power was crazy, but with a 3-on-1, they held an advantage over him. Cumber, seeing that he couldn't beat all 3 of them at his current state, jumped back and began to raise his power even more. His hair became spikier and he gained red electricity in his aura. This is evil Super Saiyan 2. Cumber, Kaba and Caulifla along with Kale were stunned at the power that the evil Saiyan was releasing, but Cumber didn't care for their shocked expressions. He rushed at the 3 Saiyans at incredible speed and began to beat them. They tried to defend against a Saiyan's flurry of attacks, but he was too strong. Cumber then charged a massive ball of red energy to kill the Saiyans. He launched the red ball towards the beaten Saiyans, but it was stopped by Champa, who destroyed the red ball of energy. The Saiyans passed out due exhaustion. Champa then told Vados to take them a safe distance away and that he wanted to get a piece of him. Vados did as instructed and took the Saiyans away and began to heal them. Champa looked at Cumber and said, you will be facing me now, a god of destruction. Cumber laughs and says, don't make me laugh, fat cat, you look weaker than those 3. Champa gets angry and charges toward Cumber and lands a powerful blow, sending him flying. Cumber recovers and powers up to 100% in Super Saiyan 2. Champa, seeing this, say, so you had more power, but it still won't be enough to defeat me. As he raises his power to 30%, Cumber laughs and says, we'll see about that, as they rush towards each other, engaging in combat with Vados and the Saiyans. They had just woke up after being healed by Vados and were watching the battle between Champa and Cumber. Kaba looks at Vados and says, I can't believe how strong he is. Do you think Lord Champa can defeat him? Vados responds while not taking her eye of the fight, saying, I'm not sure. Right now it will be a close fight, but if Champa fails I'll end it. She then puts a barrier around the planet to keep it from exploding back with Champa and Cumber. Champa was beating Cumber, But Cumber was also able to land a couple of blows on Champa, so this is your limit Saiyan. I'm impressed on how strong you are without any training. How about you come with us? It's this tournament where you can fight other opponents that are strong. There is also some other Saiyans that are stronger than the ones you just fought, so how about it, asks Champa. Cumber laughs and says, you are the second person to ever make me have to use my full power, but no more playing around. I'll show you the true extent of my power. The planet begins to rumble and the sky turns red and lightning starts flashing everywhere as he starts releasing all his power. His muscles bulk up and he rips out of his shirt and his eyes turn blank and his aura with lightning intensifies and his power skyrockets. Champa was shocked and says so he still had some hidden power left. Incredible as he raises his power even more, and when the smoke clears, we can see Cumber in his evil Super Saiyan 3. Laughing evilly, he looks at Champa and says time for the real fun to begin. But that's it for part 3 guys. Please like, comment and subscribe, and please tell me if you like these scents with more detail or do you prefer skipping through the fights and stuff. Let me know down below. Thanks.